and it is now my pleasure to give the floor to His Excellency Barnam Saleh, the President of the Republic of Iraq. Sir, you have the floor.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm deeply grateful to the Prime Ministers of Canada and Jamaica and to the Secretary General of the United Nations for organizing this important meeting. The challenges that we face as a global community are immense and urgent, all the more so in the Middle East and the developing world, where the impact of the virus could be more protracted and damaging as it strains already stretched health infrastructure. But these challenges are not insurmountable if we show common purpose and stand together. The temptation may be to look inward and leave each country to fend for itself. But while the impact of the virus is felt locally, the crisis is truly a global one, and it requires a global response. We definitely need to be united in our commitment to combat the spread of COVID-19, definitely to find a vaccine and to restoring our economic well-being. The issues identified in this forum are core to achieving these goals. Like others around the world, my country urgently seeks to chart a path out of the current crisis. The measures that we have taken to restrict physical spread of the virus within our borders have to date been comparatively successful, although concerns are mounting for the second wave and further spread of the virus as we speak. But we have nevertheless felt the full force of the pandemic's economic consequences. Social distancing has brought many sectors of our economy to a virtual standstill. And according to the World Bank, the number of Iraqis under the poverty line have risen from below 20% at the end of 2019 to approximately 40% now. Iraq has been battered by a plurality of crises and shocks. The collapse of domestic demand due to restrictions imposed to combat COVID-19, the sharp fall in oil prices since March, and more recently, the sharp fall in Iraqi oil production, which was cut approximately 23% as part of the April OPEC Plus agreement. Our dependence on oil means that our budget revenues are down over 70% compared to pre-crisis level, forcing us to take emergency measures to meet non-discretionary spending. Eventually, our spending may need to be rationalized, but even then, we will be faced with the prospect of a significant budget deficit this year that will need to be financed by drawing down reserves and increasing debt. Overall, our economy is forecast to contract by almost 10% in 2020, with a possible rebound expected in 2021. All of this comes at a sensitive time for Iraq. We are still a country in recovery. We have overcome civil war, violence, and terrorism of the so-called Islamic State. But when our rebuilding process is fragile, the popular demonstrations of last autumn and winter and the tragic deaths that accompanied them were a stark reminder that the patience of the people of Iraq has its limits. Delivering a more prosperous and a stable future and tackling the weaknesses of Iraq's economy are promises that the new government of Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi has made to deliver on. We have no illusions that the road ahead will be long and arduous, but we have no option but to persevere and prevail. We need to act with a sense of urgency, compassion to deliver results. Otherwise, we will be letting down our population, especially our youth. We cannot, like so many other countries around the world, hope to succeed without the cooperation of the international community. The fiscal liquidity crisis that we face make meeting our basic financing and debt obligations difficult. We hope that the international community will support these efforts, including assisting us with economic restructuring and helping us to realize our investment budget, which is crucial for building infrastructure, maintaining essential services, and creating jobs. For developing countries like Iraq that face these challenges, access to instruments that will help us ensure domestic liquidity and private sector access to credit, and which will reduce the immediate debt burden on the government, are crucial if we are to ensure that the current crisis does not cripple us and undermine our ability to push through much needed reform in the longer term. We definitely need bridging mechanisms that will allow us to implement counter-cyclical fiscal stimulus policies now in order to stabilize our finances and our economy as we face up to the impact of COVID-19. We can then use this as a platform to making smarter spending choices in the future that will stimulate our economic growth. I dare say the success of Iraq is crucial to combating extremism and helping restore stability to this part of the world. Much effort has gone into stabilizing Iraq and overcoming the difficulties of the past. With COVID-19, the crisis in Iraq has deepened. The challenges have become far more painful, and I'm sure many other countries are feeling the same scale of challenges and difficulties. But we have no other choice but to work together globally, in the words of the Secretary General, to build better. Hopefully, together we can turn this crisis into an opportunity to build in better and bringing about a better economic collaborative arrangement across the globe. Thank you very much.